Applied research methods, assignment 2. So, qualitative research is non-numerical and is used for things such as opinions and feelings towards something. This is usually an interview or a questionnaire or something along those lines. It is usually used for individuals or very small groups because it's more accurate, as everyone gives their opinion on the topic instead of something like numerical data collection where there could be something carried out wrong. You can always link qualitative data to quantitative data, as you can see how many people give you the same answer in the questionnaire. There is usually no hypothesis when doing this research. Advantages are things such as this data gives you a better understanding of a topic because the questionnaires are designed to find a specific answer or what the researcher is trying to find out. It gives the researcher a chance to explore the topic in more depth and can therefore gather more details. The research is more flexible and the researcher can respond to the answer in a different manner. The flexibility of this research can allow the researcher to adapt the results and take them further and develop their research. The research can also allow the researcher to understand why a certain event happened or why a certain event was unsuccessful when it did happen. This will lead to changes in the future events that will improve the athlete's experiences. The disadvantages to this will be the research is much more time consuming, so there might not be enough time to talk to every athlete that you want to. There is lots to do for this research and takes a lot of effort because you have to repeatedly take down the results, then check them over lots and interpret the results. This is obviously more time consuming than quantitative research. The results are much harder to generalize because there are less sample sizes, so therefore they might not be as accurate to publish. So next up we have quantitative research, and this research is basically a study of data collection which is numerical. Its purpose is to establish relationships, differences, or causality. An example for quantitative research could be something like measuring the average time for each position in the NFL to complete a 40-yard dash. Throughout the NFL combine, we clearly see that positions like the wide receivers have much quicker average time to like a lineman, for example. When a team wants to scout a player for their team and draft them, they will look at the quantitative research done on these players during the combine. A type of research that falls under quantitative research is deductive research. Deductive research is what tests a hypothesis. A scientist or researcher will start a hypothesis, then begin their observation to prove the hypothesis. The importance to precision and accuracy is massive because many sports teams and leagues use this data to either purchase a player or put records into the record books. So to ensure everything is correct, the accuracy and precision of the quantitative research must be on point. The advantages to this type of research is it is good for research in larger groups because the researchers will therefore be able to generalize their findings easier. Quantitative data is also viewed as better from other people because there isn't going to be any bias in the results. So because it's numerical and not opinionated. The disadvantages to this could be if the research is taken in large sample sizes, it could be inaccurate as some anomalies could mess up the results. This could lead to the results not being specific enough to publish. Therefore, the researchers should or could do smaller sample sizes. So mixed methods are just a mixture of the two previous research methods. The advantages to mixed research methods is it strengthens a certain approach and fills in the gaps to overcome the limitations of one of the researchers. For example, after doing quantitative research, the researcher may ask further questions to the athletes about the experience to try and get more information about the test that has just been carried out. Therefore, this research can lead to a stronger overall conclusion than the other two. A disadvantage to this research method is that it will be very, very time consuming to carry out as both methods are used. One researcher who is doing this research may not have the skill set to carry out both kinds of research. And the cost of this research will be increased massively. These research methods all have different goals in mind, and they have all different methods to receive the correct information needed. For example, if a researcher is trying to find out who is the fastest player on a football team, they are carry out quantitative research instead of qualitative. This is because the numbers don't lie in this, and they'll be more accurate than the player's opinion. Although, if the test is carried out wrong and the results are incorrect, it could affect future research projects that compare to normative data. Most of the time, a researcher will use quantitative research with a larger group of people to find a numerical result, but for qualitative research, it is used to find specific answers for individuals via something like a questionnaire or an interview. So, the research I did is quantitative data because it's numerical, as I was trying to find out the percentage of shots that go in basketball and netball, which were all shots from 5 feet out. It's easier to use numbers when doing research because there is no error or very little error, but in qualitative research, the chance of error is much, much higher. It is easier to record the number of points scored in basketball and netball, but if the research I was doing was qualitative, it would include asking people which one is easier, so therefore it would be less reliable. So overall, this is why I've chosen quantitative research and recorded the amount of points scored in each basketball and netball hoops. At the beginning, I made a hypothesis, and this data is going to help me prove my hypothesis. My hypothesis is that most people will have a higher percentage in basketball because there is a backboard and the rim is a lot bigger. I chose the experimental research design because it explores the effect that the kind of hoop has on the percentage of shot. The independent variable is the type of hoop, and the dependent variable is the accuracy of the 5 shots that we all took. The control variable is the type of ball used and the distance away from the hoop we shot. We needed to use these control variables to make the test as fair as possible. I chose lab-based testing for this experiment because I controlled all of the variables. I didn't want to do a field test because that would require a game situation where lots of other external factors come into play. For example, if a defender blocks a shot, and all of the shots will be from a different distance, not 5 feet out. This would decrease the reliability of my data collection. These reasons are why I have done lab-based testing. They are more reliable in trying to find the aim of this investigation. I have chosen inferential statistics because it tests the relationships or differences between the data sets. So, in this investigation, it will be the differences and similarities of the hoop in basketball and netball, and the percentage of shots that go in. This test is parametric and is a null hypothesis because there is no relationship / no significant difference between 2 or more variables or groups. This is an independent t-test because I'm trying to figure out if there is a significant difference between the results and percentage of the netball and basketball hoops. This is appropriate because the group that carried these shots out were all the same people to ensure that the skill set was the same for both hoops. I collected this data by making 16 people shoot 5 times each on both hoops. I did this because I wanted to ensure that the same skill set were used throughout to ensure the results are accurate as possible. I converted each athlete's shots they made into percentages for both hoops. To make sure that accuracy and precision is the best as possible, I used the same athletes for both of the hoops and only change the hoops. So, as you can see on the graph here, I collected my data by making 16 people shoot 5 shots on a netball and basketball hoop. I recorded everyone's scores as they did this. I have used the graph to display the difference between the netball and basketball shots made. So from this graph, we can identify that only 2 people out of the 16 scored higher in netball than basketball, whereas there were 8 participants to score higher in basketball than netball. My theory for this huge difference in results is the basketball hoop is much wider, and there is a backboard as well, so the athlete has a higher chance of making the shot. Also, with the backboard in a basketball hoop, if the participant overshoots their shot, it could bounce back and go into the basket and count as a score. In netball, there is no backboard and the hoop is much smaller, so there's less room for error. So here, if we focus on the image on the left firstly, we can clearly see that from this quantitative data I collected, there is a higher percentage of shots made in basketball. Well, we can see this as the median in basketball is 4, whereas in netball it is 3. We can also see this we can also see from this research I did that the standard deviation is closer to 0 for basketball, which implies the shots went in at a higher percentage. In netball, we could see that the minimum amount of shots made was 0, and in basketball the minimum was 2. This will suggest that nobody had issues with scoring in the basketball hoop, but in the netball hoop there was a lot more error. From these descriptive statistics, we can also see that the maximum score in basketball was 4, so the maximum score possible was attained. Whereas in netball, the highest score was a 4, which means not one person was able to score on their shots and get 100%. Overall, I have a clear understanding that there is a higher percentage of shots made in basketball from these descriptive statistics. In basketball, there were 61 shots made, so only 19 shots were missed out of the 60. No, out of the 80, sorry. But in netball, there were only 46 shots made, so there were 34 shots left. Shots missed. This makes the mean score in basketball 3.8, and the mean score in netball was 2.88. So therefore, we can see very clearly the difference in shots made in basketball and netball. I'm going to correct myself and say that I was meant to say the most scored in basketball was 5, not 4, to start this off. So when we look at the and focus on the image on the right, so the test I did was a T-test, and this was to see if there was a difference between the netball and basketball shooting. As the test that reads P bracket T, then T, it's the two tail, so it's the second from bottom. It's below 0.05. It shows that there is a significant difference with the percentage of shots in netball and basketball. So what I did to collect these results is make everyone shoot 5 shots on both hoops. Then I recorded the results. I was trying to investigate whether there would be a significant difference, and by carrying out this T-test, I could see that there was a significant difference. The positives to me carrying out this quantitative research is that it was very quick to do, and there was no error in the results, because it was easy to keep track of the results when there are people only shooting 5 shots onto both hoops. My research can benefit sport and exercise science because it allows sports coaches to suggest what sport someone like a beginner would participate in. For example, if someone is only just getting started with sport and wants to join a netball or basketball team, a coach could suggest to them basketball is easier to score as it will help them to build their confidence. If my results were able to get published, it will help coaches make a decision and benefit them because they could advise their participants on what to do. Thank you for listening to my research assignment 3.